Welcome in, everybody. NHL Tonight, first shift. Yes, a new show here on the NHL Network. I'm Hradek alongside Kevin Weekes, and we are going to be with you every single weekday, normally 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. today with the opening day schedule such as it is. We're a little bit early at 3:30, but Weeksy, it's going to be fast. It's going to be opinionated. We're going to get you up to date on whatever's going on in the National Hockey League. So really excited about the new opportunity.
I love it. Congrats, man.
Thank you.
Long overdue.
And you'll be here on a lot of days with me.
Look forward to it. I'm pumped for you. Let's go.
And you know, we got another new innovation here. We have our good friend, our producer, J.D. Lindbergh, is behind the scenes, but there he is.
J.D.
He's going to be jumping in with us from time to time to keep us honest here. J.D., congratulations to you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for being with us. Yeah. And, hey, what's going on in this show today? We don't know. We're just sitting here.
Yeah, well, fellas, I appreciate the warm welcome here. The show is NHL Tonight First Shift. So why don't we get right to it first? We've got this treat from Tracy Myers.
Ooh.
Keep your eyes out there in Seattle, as good story up here from Tracy. Jessica Campbell will become the first full-time woman to be an NHL assistant head coach. So she's going to be on the bench with Danny Bilesma and the Seattle Kraken this season. Yeah,
she had been working in their minor league team in the American League, actually with Dan there, so there's familiarity. I know I talked to Dan about Jessica, and he was really pumped up and just thought she had real buy-in with the players. And Weeksy, I'll go to you, right? You played in the National Hockey League. You've been on those teams. It's something new to have a woman as an assistant coach. The buy-in is important, and Dan says that she's got that with the players.
Yeah, she does have that with the players. I spoke to a few different people that have played for her, and every single one of them raved about her. They love her acumen, her ability to communicate. The communication is the main thing that came across, and just being able to take the time and relate to the players. And I've met her before. I've came away very impressed by her. Soupy, as she's affectionately known, because of the last name.
Every Campbell is Soupy.
Every Campbell Soupy, of course, but Soupy, as she's belovedly known. I'll tell you what, this is historic. Yeah. It's amazing. Congrats to her. Richly deserved.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that we can get her on the program.
Yes, absolutely. Soupy, come on.
Move forward.
Come on the show.
Making the debut today, the Seattle Kraken and the St. Louis Blues. Let's get to the schedule, and you can see it there. It's 3 games, a triple header on ESPN. 4:30 Eastern time. The Blues and the Kraken. Interesting. 1:30 afternoon start local time in Seattle, so that should be an interesting day. The Blues and Kraken getting it going. Then at 7 p.m. down there in South Florida, the Boston Bruins and the Florida Panthers, hated rivals. The Florida Panthers raising that championship banner tonight, so that's going to be exciting. And, of course, our thoughts and our prayers with all the folks down in Florida as they brace for that Hurricane Milton that looks like it's going to come through the middle part of Florida. So we're hoping for the best for everyone down in Florida over the next couple of days. And then finally, out in Utah, the Utah Hockey Club. How does that sound, Weeksy?
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. I like the color scheme. Reminds me of my old St. Mike's Buzzers back in Toronto. I love that.
There you go.
Yep.
So the Utah Hockey Club making their debut at home against the Chicago Blackhawks. But let's start, Weeksy, with the Florida Panthers and the Boston Bruins tonight, because, I mean, that was only a couple of months ago. We were there, right? We're calling Game 7.
Yeah.
You know, down in Florida, and now a couple months later, here they are. They're raising the banner. You were drafted originally by the Florida Panthers. Yeah. Nobody was thinking for years they would be raising any banners, and here they are raising a Stanley Cup banner tonight. What does it mean to that organization or that fan base?
Well, first of all, I'll always be indebted to them because they gave me my shot in the National Hockey League. Have been their original goalie that they drafted to make the league. But what it means is just, it really is a reflection of a lot of things. Number one, great ownership now. Right? The investment in the ownership. Number 2, some great people in the organization, keyed by my guy, Paul Maurice. So I told you he's my favorite head coach I played for in the NHL. And in addition to that, the growth of the game. You know, when you think of this impact that they have, Roberto Luongo, Billy Zito being there, different people in the organization. I mentioned Paul Maurice, Luongo's brother, Leo Luongo. There's so many people to mention, right, that are part of it. But here's the thing. Think about the fans and the growth of the sport in the Sunshine State. We were just talking about it over in Prague.
That's right.
Right? We get a guy like Seamus Casey, who's Florida-born. We have the Hughes brothers who are Florida-born, among others that we're seeing in the league. So I think it's massive for the league. We own a home down there. We're down there quite often. To see where the game is now, Ej, with all the girls and boys playing and the adult rec, it's in large part to the success of the Panthers these last few years.
Yeah, it's great to see. So congratulations to the Florida Panthers. Should be a great night down there for them. And the Boston Bruins in town. It's a rivalry. The Florida Panthers and the Boston Bruins is a nasty rivalry. I mean, when you have these playoff meetings, and they've met in each of the last couple of years in the postseason, this is what happens, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's some animosity. You know, it gets nasty. The Boston Bruins, they've made some changes this year. They finally got their goalie re-signed.
Yep.
They brought in some bigger guys on the blue line. I mean, this has the earmarks of kind of a nasty start to the season.
Yeah, in this game, I expect, as my dad would say, there to be a lot of nastiness.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot of nastiness in this game because of the playoff rivalry between these two teams. Great playoff rounds that have entertained the fans all around the league the last 2 years, and the Panthers able to come away victorious. But this Boston Bruins team is still very much a contender in my eyes. I love the fact that they got Jeremy Swayman finally signed. He's under contract. He's secure. And this sets up to be an outstanding opening game between those two teams.
And they got Elias Lindholm in the offseason. They made some changes to their group, right?
Bigger D,
bigger and
too.
Stronger on D. There's no question about that. So do you think last couple of years, the start of the season for the Bruins, everybody was talking about, like, well, they've got injuries, maybe they're a little short. In the last 2 years, they rolled off, 138 points or thereabouts 2 years ago, and then last year had another really good season. This year, everybody's high on the Bruins.
Yeah.
I mean, can they meet those expectations?
I think they can, but they might want to continue the Dunkin' Donut coffee all year long. Don't stop drinking it once you come down the stretch.
Yeah.
You got to start drinking more when you get in the playoffs of that coffee before the game. Some espresso, some whatever they need to, some ice shots. But all that to say, I do like the team, to your point. I think some of those acquisitions make them harder to play against.
Yeah.
They're longer, they're rangier. And with that, that really lends itself to the playoffs. And let's think about when they won that cup in 2011. They had a lot of that in their group, right? They had a lot of that kind of abrasiveness. Some guys that were physical, they could lean on you heavy in front of both nets. So maybe that's the special sauce that they've been missing to get to the next stage.
The average on the blue line is 6'2", 210.
It's wild.
So that's some good size in front of Jeremy Swayman. He's available tonight.
Yes.
I mean, so
he's an option.
It'll be interesting to see how that plays out, but it's good that he's got him signed. You can see here, Jim Montgomery says the goalie choice will be a game-time decision, although Jonas Korpisalo was the first goalie off at morning skate. That tells me it's probably Korpisalo. You were a goalie.
Yeah.
What does it tell you?
Unless they're playing games, I would think it's going to be Korpisalo, but listen, Jeremy Swayman, for a lot of you who've heard me on this network, I've been saying this since he was at University of Maine. I've been a huge fan of his. His then goalie coach at Maine, Alfie Michaud, told me about him. The guys love playing in front of him. He's in great shape. He comes from great parents, both of which we met last year in All-Star Weekend in Toronto. He, to me, not only has the temperament, but the skill set to play in a place like Boston. And I think because of the fact that he played in Maine, there's a familiarity with the Boston area for him. We know he's a proud Alaskan. But, you're in those original 6 markets, Each. We talk about this all the time. That's a different animal, especially a sports mad city like Boston. And I think he's a perfect ambassador, and as well, I think he's a top-flight goalie in the league.
Yeah, so he gets that deal. You can see it there, 8 years, $66 million. And, while we're talking about goalie contracts, you were out there. You had the camera like over your head. I don't know what you're doing. That breaking news. You had your SpongeBob out there. I don't know what the heck's going on. But the bottom line is, if you saw it on Twitter, X, Kevin Weekes had some breaking news today that Ilya Shesterkin, the Rangers star goalie, his contract expires at the end of the season. He's been eligible for an extension since July 1st. And so the talks have been ongoing. But Weekes, your tweet was that here it is, that he rejected an $11 million average, $88 million contract, 8-year deal from the New York Rangers. So where does it go from here right now? That's an awful lot of money.
Well, I'm glad you gave me the opportunity to talk about it, because on X, there are 1.3 million people that already watched this. I didn't think it was going to go this crazy. But all that to say, this comes back to one of your points. It's an original 6 franchise. It's the New York Rangers. Not only one of the marquee NHL franchises, but one of the marquee franchises in the world of sports, playing at the world's most famous arena. Now, all of that to say, I love Shesterkin. I think he's an absolute stud. How many times have we talked about him, you and I?
Of course, yeah.
Right? Even off camera.
Listen, he's a great goalie. He's a Vezina Trophy winner, and you saw last year in the postseason, he had another great run.
No question. And I played with the guy that preceded him, the great Henrik Lundqvist, my good buddy. All of that. When I look at this now for Igor Shesterkin, could he perhaps go to another market? Maybe, if that's what he wants to do, and maybe get a bit of a higher number? Perhaps, right? Perhaps he could get maybe into the 12s with another team. But I look at this. He's perfect for Broadway. Broadway's been great to him. The organization believes in him. He believed in them. He's comfortable here. The fans love him here. They're a Stanley Cup contending team. They're a cap spending team. He has his position. The Rangers have theirs. I wouldn't be surprised if they're able to find some common ground sooner rather than later and get this thing done.
Weeks here, we getting into another era in terms of money for players now. I mean, the cap is going to start going up. We went through this long circumstance with the pandemic,
Sure.
and revenues were suppressed. But now the cap is starting to rise. We saw Draisaitl sign a big deal in the offseason. Are we getting to the stage now where we're going to see players going to be pushing for more money? I would think that's where we're going.
I think we are. Not necessarily from the goalie position, but keep in mind, with this offer.
He's unique, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And he's turning 28, 29. He's 28 now.
I mean, here's a look at the highest paid goalies.
Absolutely. And of note here, what's interesting is this is all Russian and American-born goalies. They're just dominating the world right now in the net. But all that to say, for specifically Igor Shesterkin. For Shesterkin, he's on a team that's a cap spending team. This contract that they've offered him, whatever he signs, is going to be the highest in NHL history for a goalie. Period.
Yeah.
And you can only go to a certain number with your goaltender. It's not a center. It's not a number 1D. So all that to say, I think he'll probably get to a good number. I believe it's going to be south of 12, perhaps 11.5, and they get this thing done. That's my thought.
The Swayman deal, do you think that changed the market, dynamically? I mean, we saw that list. There's a couple of guys that get paid more than him still.
Sure.
So it seems like, his effort, it seemed like, was to kind of maybe reset things a little bit. There's the look at those numbers again. It seems like it makes sense when you think of what Swayman has been able to accomplish.
Sure.
But Shesterkin, New York.
Vezina, New York City, as you said. Yeah. Rising tides float all boats. So, yes, the Swayman deal certainly will help give a little bit of a bump to Shesterkin. We know Shesterkin is going to be the one to set the market now. He'll come in at the highest number. Carey Price is currently at 10.5. We know he's retired, but he's at 10.5. Shesterkin will best that. Maybe best it by $1 million. Maybe it's by $500,000. But I think they'll ultimately come to a point where they get this deal done. But if I'm Shesterkin, I'm looking at this team, and I know firsthand the uniqueness of playing in New York. We live in this market. This is home. This is a special place in Madison Square Garden. The world's most famous arena, and it's a Stanley Cup contending team. So my thoughts are they're going to get to a compromise rather soon, and ultimately this thing gets wrapped up.
I'm sure Ranger fans, when they read your tweet, they're a little nervous.
I got so many texts today.
I'm sure you did.
I have so many texts today.
They don't want to see they don't want to see their guy, Prince Igor.
Exactly.
On the bus.
That's right.
Over there with your dad.
That's exactly right.
On the bus out of town.
Taking the NJD.
You're always putting poor Carl on the Greyhound.
The NJD.
You should be flying him first class.
He's like this.
That's another story. All right, let's get on to the Utah Hockey Club, because here it is. Utah, we're ready for you. And the Delta Center tonight, it's going to be really exciting. I mean, I've been around for a while now. I was in Dallas, actually, when the Dallas Stars arrived from Minnesota. When a team comes to a new marketplace, there is a lot of excitement. I mean, there's a lot of sadness for the city that sees the team leave, like there was in Minneapolis many, many years ago, like there is in Arizona, where the Coyotes were. But certainly in Utah, they're really excited about this franchise, and the excuses are now gone.
Yeah.
For the Utah Hockey Club, the former Arizona Coyotes, they got some good players. They got to make a push this year. And you could see the fans, this is when they welcomed them in there. They were pumped up.
They had over 30,000 season ticket packages that people wanted to buy. They wanted to be in there. Listen, there's a fervor in Utah for the Utah Hockey Club now. Make no mistake about it. The ownership is very committed. Make no mistake. When I look at this opportunity for their group, now you have every resource available to you. Because here's the one thing. Let me bring the fan into this, right?
All right.
Sometimes, and you know this, sometimes in the dressing room, they'll say, hey, guys, it's got to be this. You're like, our weight room's not that good.
Yeah.
Then they'll say, okay, guys, it's got to be, we don't necessarily travel that well. Okay, you get where I'm going.
Yes, I do.
But now, as you just alluded to, there are no excuses. It's going to be a first-class experience for the players and their families and for the fans. And what I think that does, you're right, takes away the excuses, but that should have the gas tank, the energy tank on full for these guys. They should be foaming at the mouth. I'm sure they will be, with anticipation and drawing into that energy of the fans there, and what's a unique opportunity in history in the making here.
Yeah, and Billy Armstrong, the GM, he went out, he was smiling ear to ear at the draft.
Right,
I mean,
of course.
because he has resources now. And he went out, you can see in the offseason, Kevin Stenlund comes in from Florida, right? He was part of a Stanley Cup winner there, a good kind of back six forward. The big dog there, Mikhail Sergachev, that really rattled everybody at the Sphere draft day. I mean, we were shocked. John Marino going over from the New Jersey Devils. They've added some depth to their team now, which they couldn't really have done in the past because of financial limitations.
Yes, exactly. And that's just those major reinforcements, especially Sergachev. Yeah. I've been a Sergachev fan since he played in Windsor, and it was odd because he wore number 31 like Mark Napier, right? Which is an odd number for a player to wear, right?
It is. Yes, it is.
But all that to say, he caught my attention when he was in junior, and he's done everything to validate that during his time in Tampa. Shoots rockets, good teammate, very dependable, steady, plays in all situations. And if anything, defensively, he's gotten better and better as his career's gone on. Yeah. To me, in certain ways, he's a bigger version. He's reminiscent to me of a Sergei Gonchar, who had an amazing career, as we know. Yeah. So here's a little quick note to Ej. You remember we were talking in Prague about rings, teams that had players that have rings?
Yeah, have championships.
You just mentioned it. Yeah. On that board, there's about 4 of those guys.
That's right.
4 of them.
That's right.
You're bringing Stanley Cup rings. Look, JD, now you're back, JD. Yeah. JD's back. Now he's back.
Let's go.
Right? But when I look at that, you've got Ian Cole, that's one. Bortuzzo, that's one. Yeah. Sergachev, Stenlund, you said too, right?
Yeah.
And I like Stenlund, by the way, last year. Yeah. So all of that to say, you're adding that to the group. And Casey Kessering, who I played youth hockey against, he came out of Kitchener, his son. I like what his son's done so far with the Coyotes last year, and now he has the opportunity. Big, rangy defenseman. I think they're going to be improved.
All right, how about the Blackhawks really quick? Connor Bedard, year 2 for Connor Bedard. He was so good in his rookie year. I think it's going to be a big push this year with Connor Bedard. I expect more. I just think that he's going to really emerge even more than he did last year.
I agree. I had a chance to talk to him at the Player Media Tour in Vegas. He's wired tight. He's ready to go. He's jazzed right now. He's tight. So he's ready. He's wired. He's wired. I'm looking for more.
All right. Well, that's going to be good. So a triple header opening night. It's going to be a great night for hockey. Good to have it back. We've got a great show for you. Guess who's coming up? We got a future, soon-to-be Hall of Famer.
Love it.
Jeremy Roenick is going to be joining the show to talk about going into the Hall of Fame only a month from now. Stay with us. Well, here's a look at the Hall of Fame class of 2024, the induction coming up next month in Toronto. Jeremy Roenick, Pavel Datsyuk, Shea Weber, David Poile, Coley Campbell, Natalie Darwitz, and Chrissy Wendell. And we are just so excited to bring on our guest. There he is! There he is, Jeremy Roenick.
Hi, guys. I'm Jeremy Roenick. Nice to meet you guys. Pleasure. It's a real pleasure. Hi. Hi.
First of all, tell the viewers where you are right now.
So I'm in Las Vegas right now. It's my daughter's 30th birthday, and she's over here from Germany. This is her second time here in the States in like 7 years. She's a professional equestrian over in Europe.
Wow.
And I'm actually sitting on the floor of the Caesars shop because you guys are so important to me. And I haven't been on NHL Network in it seems like 10 years some reason.
Too long.
For some reason. So I said, there's no way I'm going to miss this opportunity to talk to 2 of my favorite people in hockey. So
all right. Well, listen, we're happy that you took the time for us today. I mean, I'm glad. I can't believe you have a daughter that's 30 years old. I mean, that's kind of crazy in itself. I mean, I remember young Jeremy Roenick whipping around Chicago and seeing you at All-Star games and things of that nature. But
I know. Now I'm paying her not to have kids, so I'm not a grandfather yet. So I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready for that.
All right, Grandpa. Let me ask you.
So good.
Let's get right to the Hall of Fame because I've been JR. I've been kind of when they ask us in the business who should go in. I always meant Kevin Weekes the same. We all put our hand up. JR should be in the Hall of Fame. I wasn't sure it was ever going to happen. My heart dropped the day I saw it. I texted you right away. But give me your thoughts. What was going on in your mind that day? Because you had to just be blown away.
Well, I think this is the first year that I really didn't even think about it. Every year I know when the induction announcements come out, at least the people that they've brought in. And this is the first year where I didn't even think of the time. I didn't think of the date. I didn't think of anything that was going on at the time. I was working out, literally doing a spin class, and I came out of my workout sweaty and wet. And then all of a sudden I see a phone call from 416. I'm like, that's Toronto. Who's calling me from Toronto? So I press the button and it says, welcome to the Hall of Fame. Press 3 for tickets, press 4 for tours. And I'm like, what time is it? What time of year is it? Oh my God, it's June. I'm like, then I got all sweaty. I got all panicky. 5 minutes later, the phone rang and it was Mike Gartner and Lanny McDonald. And I literally froze. I started crying. My heart was going about 1,000 beats a minute. And for the first time in my life, I was speechless and I was crying. I couldn't, I was at Starbucks. I couldn't even get my coffee. The barista was wondering what happened to me in the car. It was just I was a blubbering mess. And to tell you the truth, I still am a blubbering mess, and I will be in a month from now. And I just can't wait. And I'm so humbled and thankful that it's finally here.
JR, richly deserved, man. As Ij mentioned, we've been talking about it for a long time and singing your praises as being very deserving for a very long time. In that call, who are the people that came to mind for you immediately when you received that call?
It was, well, number one, my family, my wife and my kids, who have been waiting and have gone through this whole, wait with me and the frustration. So I thought of them, and immediately I think of Doug Wilson, who you will see in my Hall of Fame speech, pretty much saved my life. And, I'll expand on that next month. Chris Chelios, Keith Kachuk, Mike Keenan, a lot of the people that you need in order to reach this opportunity to be enshrined in the Hall. You can't do it by yourself. And I've had some of the greatest people, Steve Larmer, Michel Goulet, Tony Amonte, who I believe is my soulmate of wingers. These are the guys that really came to my mind. I thought about really quick. Chris Chelios was the fourth person that I called, to tell you the truth. My wife, my son, my daughter, and then Chris Chelios. So, yeah, it was pretty special. That was a great question, by the way.
Yeah, that was. I said off camera. I kind of whispered to Weeksy that was a great question. I'll ask you not as great a question, but a question nonetheless. How's your speech coming?
Nice.
That's the one thing that everybody tells me, and it's you guys know me. I speak from my heart, and I just there's no way I can go there and write a speech. And I've been thinking about a lot of things. I've been jotting a lot of things down that I don't want to forget. Some people I don't want to forget. So I'll have some notes, but it's all going to come right from my heart. And there's going to be things that are going to come out of my mouth that I'm not even thinking of right now. But my gratitude and where I am in my life right now is it's so pure and so different than the person that I was 5 years ago, 2 years ago. And I really think that it's going to be very hard for me to get a lot of words out through a lot of my emotions, but you'll see a different person. And I think there's going to be a lot of things that are going to come out that I didn't expect, and maybe a lot of other people won't expect going into the night.
JR, you say you're different in the last couple of years, whatever. What are the things that have been going on in your life? We haven't been in touch with you as much. We know the things that went on with NBC, all that stuff. It's hopefully in the past now, and I don't want to go down that path. But how are you? What are the things that have been changed in your life?
Well, listen, EJ, everybody has to grow up sometime, and that's even me, right? Everybody has to grow up. Everybody has to realize when, there are things in life that are really important and things in life that take back seats to what's important. And I've lived a very busy life, a very exciting life, a very humbled life, and literally a life where you can get into a lot of trouble. And I was never a quiet person, as you guys know. I was very outspoken and a lot of times got into a lot of trouble. I've learned to stop, analyze, decide rather than be impulsive. Think about the things that I'm doing, who I'm hurting, who I am, who's affected by the things that I'm the decision I'm making. So I haven't been the best person in the world in a lot of ways. I've been a great person in some ways, but not in general and in full. So I had to really step back. I had to look at my life in full, from the top down, from the bottom out. And, since I was a little kid, it was very hard. It was really hard. And I was humbled, and I know where I am in my life. I know what I'm thankful for. And I know the people that have helped me get there and the people that deserve to have a big part of my life and treat them the way they deserve to. So it's a hard road, but I'm really happy. I am really happy.
JR, to that end, it's never easy. You talk about this stage of the journey, but it wasn't easy for you either, growing up and taking the path and going to play at the levels you played. And listen, you were, everybody that knows me knows that Michael Jordan's my North Star. Always has been since I've been young.
The best.
And people were going to watch MJ at the Garden and then going to watch you at the Garden. You were must-see. Sorry, at the Madhouse on Madison. Sorry, excuse me. Chicago Stadium. You were box office. What was that like? Like everybody was coming to watch you. What was that like for you?
Well, it was awesome, no question, and I loved entertaining the fans. Obviously, I know it's a business, and I know it's an entertainment business. I love giving people, I love bringing them out of their seats. I love, you know, showing them appreciation and knowing that that I was thankful that they were there. But Weeksy, that same mentality of notoriety can be very detrimental to you if you don't handle it the right way. And a lot of times I didn't. You know, my exit from Chicago in 1996 was a byproduct of an arrogant, an egotistical, and a player that thought he was bigger than an owner. And you know, and I got like that because at 18 I came right into the National Hockey League and became a star right away. So when everything comes easy for you, you're put in a situation where you leave high school after your junior year, and you get put into a man's world with all the money in the world and every great thing that life brings right in front of you. You can take it for granted, and I did it a lot. And unfortunately, it's caused a lot of problems in my life. But I've also realized that I've been very fortunate to play a game for a living and make a lot of money because it's a great sport, and we have fans that come out and watch us. They have fans that pay their hard-earned money to come get a ticket in those seats that you know are very expensive, but they come out all the time because they love the game, and I loved bringing them the best that I possibly could. And I loved that part of the game. But there was also part of the game that I let kind of get away from me.
You know what's funny, JR, as you mentioned, I was going to ask you about Connor Bedard. I mean, he's a young star now in Chicago like you were, you know, many years ago now. But you know, it's a different world now. And, like, I'm here to tell you, JR, 19, you know, when you came into the league in 90, 91, 92, whatever it was in that era, right? I mean, it's not like today. These kids are really protected in a different way than someone like you were. So, I mean, you're hard on yourself, and, you know, we all have to look in the mirror sometimes. And but I'm here to tell you, don't be so hard on yourself because, listen, it was a
I needed
different,
to be harder.
I know.
You need to be hard on yourself in order to get to a certain place. But it's funny you say that. It's funny you say that, EJ, because, yes, I needed to have an attitude like I did back then. I needed to have ego because we were playing against men, and men that looked like they should be in prison, not on an NHL rink, like scary looking men, you know. And we didn't have instigator rule, and the fights were all the time, and guys were fighting for jobs with low salaries, you know. Nowadays, kids, I mean, they give you a penalty when you tap them on the hands. There's barely fighting. These kids are protected. They've been built. All of them look like they're in high school. I mean, it's a different game and it's a different lifestyle. There's no question. That Connor Bedard is going to be a great player. I think I am really curious to see how he does in year two. I thought last year he did great for a first year, being as small as he is, not having as much support as he did on the Blackhawks. And he would have almost had a point a game maybe if he didn't get hurt. He's a magician on the power play. What I just hope that he gets, I hope he gets a little bit more bite. I hope he gets a little bit more jam in his game. I know he's smaller, and hopefully he feels a little bit more confident. I think sometimes he looks like he's a deer in the headlights. He gets a little bit nervous when someone's coming near him, and obviously he should. He's 160 pounds. But I think if he pushes back and he has a little bite and he has a little jam, splashes a couple guys across the ankles, you know, gives the guys a little bit of lip and shows that he's not going to be pushed around. And because he needs to, because he's got so much talent. He is looked upon to bring Chicago Blackhawks out of the doldrums, and he cannot be a player that has the reputation of being able to be pushed out of a game if it gets too physical. And I hope that he learns that and has that really keen way of keeping it an even keel and still puts up massive points on the board because the kid is dynamic and awesome to watch.
JR, I'll say this. Growing up in Toronto, right, spent a lot of time going to the Hockey Hall of Fame and being around there and day trips and just going there on my own. Look, man, that's at the corner, the intersection of Yonge and Front Street. That's good. Look at it there. Look at the hallowed hall. It's been a long time coming for you. And it's overdue. And richly deserving. When you close your eyes for just a couple seconds, what's the #1 emotion that you feel?
Gratitude. Serious gratitude.
Yeah.
My dad passed away in 21. Weekes, you've had the luxury of meeting my dad. I've met your dad. We have great families. I just wish he'd be here to see it. But the gratitude, the fact that this is the highest honor that you can get as an athlete. And there was a time I didn't think I was going to get it, or at least not be alive to see it. I felt so sad for Pete Rose when he died last week. I felt I was going to be like him, and it was. So when this happened, it hit me so hard. I didn't think it was going to hit me as hard as it did emotionally, and I'm just very, very humbled, and the gratification in me. I'm so grateful that I feel the way that I do, and I'm able to experience it. So, it's gratitude for sure.
All right. Well, listen, JR, first of all, thanks so much for taking the time today. We missed you. We're so happy that you took the time to join us today. Hopefully we'll have you on many times this year on our show, because you bring a lot of insight. You bring a lot of insight to this great game. You're one of the great players. And, aside from the fact you're going to the Hall of Fame for all the reasons that you did on the ice, but you were so good with fans, and you brought it out today, and you helped sell this game for many, many years. So thank you for all that.
Guys.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the time with your daughter, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in that weekend in Toronto. That's going to be something special.
Can't wait. Thanks for having me on, guys. I love you very much, and thanks to everybody out there for all your support.
Back at you, brother. Congrats, man.
All right. The great Jeremy Roenick, live from Vegas, on the floor somewhere in Vegas. But thank you so much, JR. We come back. We got another guest, Weeksy, and we saw him in Prague. Seamus Casey from the New Jersey Devils. He got his first goal. We'll talk to him when we come back.
Here's Casey now, second power play unit on for the Devils. Casey over to Holla, to the goal line, takes it back from Nason, up to Casey, walks in, takes a look, pulls it, and scores! Seamus Casey! What a play! Pulled it back, found the angle, and the kid in his second NHL game gets his first NHL goal. Weeksy!
Seamus Casey, welcome to the National.
I tried to get you to do that for him last night, but you said gotta wait to the goal.
And now welcome to NHL Tonight First Shift. Seamus Casey, what do you think of when you hear that call again?
It's awesome. Brings me back to just the night before the game. Weeks was about to say it, and then you stopped and said he had to wait until I score one. So glad I got to hear it the second night.
What was the reaction like from the boys in the dressing room post-game?
Oh, it was awesome. I wasn't expecting that. But yeah, they just had a bunch of waters ready to go and just gave me the water shower. But it was funny.
Yeah.
They were super happy for me, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and there it is with the first goal puck there. So it was a heck of a weekend for the Devils and for you. I mean, Kevin and I really enjoyed our time in Prague. How was it for you?
Oh, it was great. We got there a few days early, so had some chances to, see the city, walk around, go to a few dinners. It was awesome. First chance to be in the NHL is a pretty cool place to experience it.
What did you think of Prague?
It was really nice. It was a little bigger than I thought. And then some of the dinners we went to in Old Town was just it was really nice. Over that bridge, I thought it was pretty incredible. Some of the older buildings and architecture was pretty special.
Over under 100 texts post game after you scored. 100 texts over under.
I'll say over. Just
yeah, gotta be over.
Yeah,
gotta be over.
Yeah, no, it was really nice to get some supportive texts from friends and family, and the guys were like, "Yeah, don't even open the phone up until just for a bit, just
let it marinate. Let it marinate for a little bit."
What was when you did look at them? Was there one or two that stood out for you?
Man, other than it's tough to say. So much family pouring in, and some guys. I mean, I will say there's some guys I haven't seen in such a long time. kids I grew up playing with in Florida that reached out.
Wow.
So that was really nice to see, kind of back to the roots and where things all started. I think those ones kind of stood out, brought back some good memories.
Here's a little one for me. I said to Ige, this guy seems very comfortable.
Yeah.
Remember we talked to him down in the Bells after
very
game
calm,
1.
Very relaxed.
Very calm, very relaxed.
You know.
How'd you feel? Because you certainly looked that way to us.
Thank you. Yeah, I felt good. I mean, it was a little hectic, the first couple of shifts of each game, kind of just getting settled in. But I thought just having the really good group of teammates just to help me get acclimated, being super supportive to me, and also the coaching staff getting us ready to go in training camp. With a quick turnaround, like not a long camp, it was we had to get things going fast, but I thought we did, and so it was pretty easy to get settled in.
You had the rookie lap for game 1, which is, usually it's, here in North America, you go over in Prague, you do the rookie lap, the game starts, you get a couple of shifts. Was there anything that will stand out for you? Like, did somebody give you a hit? Did somebody slash you? I mean, talking to the players or the refs, did anything like unusual happen in that first few shifts? Because your senses are probably like all over the place.
I mean, I don't know. Tage Thompson was a lot bigger than I thought.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
He was flying down the sheet and ripped one. I was like, oh boy, like that's gonna be tough to handle for a couple of games. But yeah, just a few things like that, like seeing guys that you're used to watching on TV, like. I think it takes a little bit of getting used to.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on a sec now. We're in Jersey. You're in Jersey. You don't have to give us the exact GPS coordinates.
Yeah.
But where are you, George? Like, we see the power wires over your head.
Yeah.
Break it down for us and the fans right now.
Yeah. No, I just left the rink. I'm in Hoboken now with Luke and Jack. We just stopped to get a bite to eat, but I hopped in the car while they're eating just to do the call. But
we appreciate you.
Just enjoying Hoboken right now.
All right. Very, 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 very nice. Yes. Hey, you mentioned earlier the getting notes from your friends that you played hockey with in Florida. You grew up in Florida. You've obviously moved around a lot in in your 20 years here on this planet. What was that like? Like, give us your journey, because the fans might not know. You start in Florida. What was your journey to get to the University of Michigan, the U.S. program, and eventually now to the Devils?
Yep. Yeah, so I started in Florida. I played for the Florida Everblades AA program for a long time, and then also playing for the AAA out-of-state Florida Alliance. We would travel, kind of do both those at the same time. After a long time, I eventually made it I played for CompuWare for a few years, and then back to Florida eventually, kind of just all over the place.
Hey, hold on a second. Let me stop you now. CompuWare is in Michigan, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
what is that like? You play for them? Did you travel there and then just play the games? Did you guys move there? What's that about?
We ended up moving after the first year and a half or so, but for a bit it was a lot of travel. I had some family up there, so I was able to stay with them. But my parents were doing a lot of traveling with me. But I went back to Florida for 1 year, and then that's when I joined. After that, I joined the U.S. national program, and then on to Michigan after that.
Wow.
We were very impressed not only with your game, but that of the Devils. We're going to get into that as the show goes on. But you have a high hockey IQ. What has been the most redeeming part about your team so far early with 2 games into the NHL season?
I think the biggest thing, stuff we've been focusing on, at least with our the coaching staff, the forecheck I thought was unbelievable. And I think that starts with the coaches emphasizing sprinting all over the ice. Everyone's sprinting to their spots, and just kind of that pace of play. I think was kind of our biggest focus. And then adding that into our structure, but that's kind of the main point of emphasis, I guess, for the team.
All right, last one before we let you go. I want to ask you about life in New Jersey. You haven't been here too long now, but what's it like? I mean, I've lived here for many years now. Weekes, he's lived here in New Jersey for probably a decade or more now.
Yep.
He played for the Devils. What's what are you seeing? What are you feeling about the great state?
Well, I mean, I love New Jersey. I was used to spend summers here as a kid. I have a ton of family here, so it feels like a second home. Whether I'm playing here or not. So it's been working out great so far. Like you said, I haven't been here super long yet, but lots of family here and support, so it's been great.
All right, Seamus,
awesome.
thanks so much for the time. Yeah. Congratulations on playing in the National Hockey League and then scoring your first goal. Weeksy welcomed you in, so now it's official. So, listen, get out of the car, go enjoy lunch. Thanks for your time today.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Seamus Casey, defenseman for the Devils. When we come back, well, it's the start of the season, Weeksy, so we got to make some predictions.
Let's go.
We got a few for you. Come on back now. NHL Tonight, first shift. All right, here's a tweet from the National Hockey League. Simple, short and sweet. Hockey is back.
Love it.
Hashtag NHL Faceoff, and it is back. Triple header to start things off on the North American side starting this evening. It looks like a lot of fun. Weeksy, we got predictions to do because that is kind of what we have to do here. Who's going to win the East?
Coming out of the East, I'm going to go with the New York Rangers. And I'm going to tell you why. I think they've got clearly outstanding goaltending led by Shesterkin. And once his contract situation gets resolved, it's a game changer to have a goalie of his ilk and a future Hall of Famer in behind him in Jonathan Quick, who's still playing at a very high level, I might add. I really like the defensive core. Panarin's one of the best players on the planet. All things being equal, I like the balance. Chris Drury's done a nice job with this team. I'm pulling with the Rangers.
Let me just ask you quick. Shesterkin, his contract, he still has a year left, so he's under contract.
For sure.
Is that a distraction that, like, he hasn't done an extension?
It's a talking point because I tweeted about it today.
I know.
All that to say,
You're
to your question, I think it gets resolved. I just think that there's too much between these two parties, him and the Rangers, that are symbiotic. They've got a great relationship. I think it gets resolved soon.
All right. Well, listen, you like the Rangers.
Yeah, who you going
I'm going to stay on this side of the Hudson.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the Devils. I looked
okay.
at the teams in the Atlantic, and any of the top couple in the Atlantic could get there. The Rangers are a good pick.
Sure.
But I liked what I saw from the Devils. And you know what I really liked? They fixed the things that were wrong with their team. They fixed the goaltending. They added some size. They've got 8 defensemen when everybody's healthy. I mean, look at the offseason that Tommy Fitz had there in New Jersey with all the additions, all the guys. I mean, look at Nason. He scored right off the bat. Cotter had a couple of goals. Tatar played well. Pesci's coming back from injury soon. Dylan was physical. Kovacevic, he was physical. And he also scored a goal and had an assist and got a Rolex from Jaromir Jagr. Can't beat that. And then, of course, Jacob Markstrom was Jacob Markstrom. Made a brilliant save in that opener against the Buffalo Sabres. So I like the Devils in the East. How about the West?
In the West, I am rocking with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
And the Edmonton Oilers.
So close last year.
They were so good last year. And our man Paul Coffey, the job he did with the blue line, to me, that's the biggest thing, Eej.
Yeah.
We talked to him at length, and you spoke to him a second time during the Stanley Cup final. But what he was able to do with Evan Bouchard, I love the acquisitions of Arvidsson, Skinner, and some of the other guys that they added to the mix. I like the Oil up in Alberta.
Jeff Skinner, he might have like 60 goals with that team.
Right.
I mean, he's such a great skater and everything. In the West, I'm going to go with the Dallas Stars. You know, the Oilers knocked them out last year. I think the Stars got a little quicker, a little younger this year with some of the moves within their group. They've still got the great goalie in Ottinger. I just think it's their time. They've been getting close as well. Maybe that's another Western Conference final between the Oilers and the Dallas Stars, but I'll take the Dallas Stars to get it done. I'll be in Finland late in November for the Dallas Stars and the Florida Panthers. That should be a nice pair of games overseas. We got the two coaches that know each other, Paul Maurice and Peter DeBoer, very close friends. One other team, anybody else you're looking at, you think like you keep an eye on them that was out of the mix last year?
St. Louis Blues for me.
I like you.
St. Louis Blues for me. In the West, St. Louis Blues for me. You talk about adding some pieces and kind of solidifying the group. I think that Doug Armstrong, starting with the offer sheets, that was magical against the Edmonton Oilers and what he's able to bring in. I like the Joseph brothers as well. P.O. Joseph, very talented puck mover. Matthew Joseph, speed, Stanley Cup winner down in Tampa. Overall, I think this team's going to be good. And I like, I've always liked Jordan Binnington. And Hofer's a very good goalie behind him.
And Hofer's a really good goal. I think the goaltending is good. Here's some of the moves they made. Hradek Fax is a guy that will help their bottom six. Good face-off guy. Broberg, I think, really emerged. Ryan Suter, I was trying to remember the other day, where did he end up? St. Louis. So I'll be keeping an eye on the St. Louis Blues this year as well. I think they got a chance to get back into the postseason. So should be, it's going to be an exciting.
It is.
It'll be great. When we come back, 3 games today. We got our first parlay of the season for you. So get out your pad and pencil, and maybe grab your wallet. We'll be back.
This week on DraftKings Sportsbook, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the app and sign up with promo code FLY. DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
It's time for the Top Line Parlay presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, and we're going to have a parlay here, Weeksy. We're focused on firsts. So we'll start off the first leg. Matty Beniers scoring the first goal in the game. What do you think?
That's juicy. Why not? Why not? He's got good
too.
speed, good number on it, plus 2,300. Why not?
Yeah.
I can see somebody playing that. That's a good play.
15 goals last year, 24 in his first year. Bounce back here coming from Matty Beniers. So we like him to get the first goal in that game to start us off.
Yes.
We're feeling good. Then we go to game 2. The Boston Bruins to win the first period. They got to win the first period, Weeksy. What do you think?
They're going to have to win the first period, I think, if they want to win the game against the defending Stanley Cup champ, the team that's beat them twice in the playoffs.
Banner raising ceremony.
I might take that for that very reason. No, you look skeptical.
Well, I think there'll be a lot of juice for the Florida. I think that's a J.D. Lindbergh pick there.
You think it's a J.D. special?
He's a Boston guy, but anyway, we'll see. Utah to score I like this one. Utah to score the first goal. I like there'll be a lot of energy for Utah.
Sure.
There you can see the fans there, and the Utah Hockey Club, all eyes on game day. You agree with that one?
I agree, but it's just not as juicy. But I agree with it, though.
I think it's
they got to set the tone, though. You're right.
J.D. Lindbergh, there he is.
Where's JD been this whole time?
Come on, JD.
Listen,
Come on. You couldn't give Florida the
big year.
What do you got?
David Pastrnak, big season.
How many goals? How many points?
Richard guy.
Yeah, not even that
60
sneaky.
for Pasta. How about that?
Ooh, a 60 piece.
All right.
How many points?
There we go.
How many points?
110.
110, I was going to say. I'm down with that.
You know, I'll tell you what.
I can rock with that.
I got to respect that.
Yeah.
Good job by JD. Yeah.
Great job.
We'll be watching these picks.
That's right.
For sure.
Great job, too, man.
Great job by you. Welcome, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Let's go.